All right, we're here with Chris Caccioppoli, and you did the film Vax this time around, huh?
Yeah, I did. It's a mockumentary, kind of stuck with that theme, but a little bit more long form, and you know, tried to be somewhat topical.
Well, did you write this during all this crazy time?
Yeah, this is actually it was made rather quickly. It was maybe spring of 2021, and we the world was sort of uncertain with vaccine. It was kind of in the height of like the conspiracy theory. So I was like, all right, let me kind of run with that, right? Let's say like, what if the well, if the conspiracy theorists are right, and what if there's something catastrophic? Like, how could we show a post-apocalyptic world or something? So, yeah, it was written around that time, and obviously now, you know, the world's in a better place than when it was written, but obviously we're still not 100% there yet. But yeah, when
No.
I wrote it, it was very much like front and center.
Yeah, right. I thought we were getting out of it like summer. We had this in the summertime, and then all of a sudden, what got word again, and then we're having it again. We're back in 2 weeks. I can't believe how fast it went, but
I know.
it's here. I've been I've been working like a crazy man, so I haven't had time to do much of this. So it's not hasn't been easy, but I'm like, I got to get these interviews in. I
I
got to do
appreciate it.
it. So when you came up, how did you get all the whole cast involved in all this? This is a pretty big cast.
Yeah, I mean, definitely knew I wanted it to be an ensemble piece. I feel like, with time you realize what you gravitate toward, and I think most of my films gravitate towards this ensemble
Mhm.
feel. So this involved two the producers actually were on the cast, Manoli Ioannidis and James Morgan. But from there, we actually worked with a lot of people who went to the same acting school as them, which it's definitely escaping me right now. I don't know why, but but everyone kind of came from that same school, whether it was intentional or not. We did some posting on online for casts, and then we also connected through the school. But it ended up being, except for me, almost everyone in the cast was all from the same kind of acting philosophy. So that's how we cast it. But it was written very much in a with these archetypes in mind. You know what I mean? So like that was always at the heart of what it was going to be, was like just archetypes of the different reasons why people would abstain from getting a vaccine. A religious archetype, and then a conspiracy theorist, or an all natural person, and someone who's just lazy, right? Kind of mixing it all together.
Yeah, wasn't easy to do, and then just they jump off each other like that. It's hard. And were you able to? How were you able to get this in during the time period? Was it like in the summer when it was kind of quieted down a
It
little bit, or
it was late spring. Required everyone to be fully vaccinated, cast and
maximum?
crew, which they were.
Mhm.
And everybody, was very upfront during auditions as well. Like, hey, this is the plan. It's going to be a big cast. Like, you're most likely going to be in a small space with 10 other
Mhm.
people, right? Really was communicating that. So there were no surprises. But everyone was on board. I think
Yeah.
everyone at that time was itching to do something, because it was
Mhm.
no one did anything in 2020, and this became, spring of 2021. People
Yeah.
were ready to get back on set. I mean, I personally was ready to get back on set, so
Yeah.
everyone
Me
was
too.
was very excited to just be doing something and creating art, and I think that drove the passion of the
Yeah, I
film.
think I was getting tired of all this all the time. Like,
Yeah,
we're getting
yeah.
movies like this.
I know. I think I ended up making one
Like this.
like this in 2020, but I did it
Yeah.
with puppets. So that was my way of doing it. I was like, well, if I can't film with other people, I'm going to film it like by myself. And I just, I had voice actors, in California send me stuff. And then I like puppet, like synced it with puppets and just made like a little puppet movie. So it was good to be with humans again.
That's great. Did you write anything else during this time that you are you working on another project right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I like testing the waters with different genres or
Mm,
styles
yeah.
when I can, and working on. I guess you can call it a horror, but I feel like since I'm involved, it's always gonna have some element of like humor or absurdity to it. But I would like the next project to be kind of along the lines of a horror. So I've been toying with that for a while.
So when you were thinking how did you think mockumentary? You were thinking like just something different?
Yeah, for mockumentary, for Vax, I wanted it to feel as real as possible. You know, even though we're dealing with a very surreal topic, I didn't want it to seem um, too staged because I knew it was going to be funny and I didn't want to like shoot it seriously, you know. And I feel like
Mm,
when you're shooting a mockumentary, you get to avoid that feel inherently, right? Just like the way that the camera is punching in and the way you're editing it, and just like the idea that even the cameraman is lagging, you know, behind the action. Like I like that feel. So a mockumentary made the most sense in the context.
yeah. And were you thinking feature maybe because it was kind of long? Were you thinking that, or just or it was always a short in mind, or
I think that's just an inherent problem with me. I have a hard time telling like short stories. You know, even most. I don't think I've ever made anything that was like under 15 minutes or something. Unfortunately, um, in retrospect, I guess if I were to make that shorter, I would have to cut characters. I'm pretty sure there's a formula. I know for like novel writing and short story writing, there's like a little bit of a formula where you're like every time you add a new character, you're adding at least 2,000 words per whatever, right? And I feel like that's kind of what this is. Every time I add a new character, I'm adding probably 4 minutes. So when you have a cast of 7 people, the only way to trim it down would be to just cut an entire character line out.
yeah?
And maybe in a different time I would have, but I think I was just like it was just too much fun. We're like, let's throw all this stuff in here.
Now you said they were all a lot of them from acting school. Do they study comedy, or do anyone do stand up comedy, or it's just straight acting and just kind of
So
drama, comedy, anything? They'll attack anything, or
yeah, among this group, there Jasmine Corneal does she does improv now. Actually, I'm not sure if she did a lot of improv prior to filming this, but I know now she's in a
no,
sketch comedy group.
no,
Um, she played Zoe in the film, and then everyone else is pretty versatile. No one came from a stand-up comedy background. In fact, Natalia, I think it was the first film that she was in. She was actually professionally like a model, right? So it was like she had a very like successful career. She's from Brazil, but she's lived in like Milan for a decade or something. You know, has just a professional working model, and she wanted to get into acting, and she studied acting, and that's kind of how we met her through that same
no.
pipeline from the school. And she was great. You know, I mean, her comedic timing was awesome. I think like she really leaned into, uh, you know, her accent and her just kind of her like poise as a model. You know, which made everything more funnier in this role because like you know she's playing somebody who's really just like in touch with earth and kind of like you know never wears shoes and stuff, and it's kind of funny from someone like her who's high fashion, you know. So I thought, you know, I thought she did a good job, and yeah, and the other kind of main leads like Manoli Ioannidis and James Morgan, they're pretty versatile. You know, they'll do drama or comedy.
Do you use the same film crew from your other ones, or you expand, use different people, or
This is a really small crew, actually. It was just me and my DP, Dave Burdett, who has filmed most of the work I've done. He's been my DP.
mm,
And then an AD and an audio person who I actually had not worked with before.
oh,
But that was it. I mean, it was just the four of us and the cast, which added some level of intensity to everything. Uh, and then weather. I mean, I don't. It was really weird. It was like the day we picked to film on the beach. It was just a really cold day. It was like 45 degrees,
oh,
horrible. And
oh,
then a couple of weeks later, we filmed inside a garage, and it was like 110 degrees in the garage. Again, there was like one giant fan, but no centralized air conditioning. And I was like, I feel bad for this cast because it was like the luck we had with the weather just was not good. It was like they're freezing on one end and then sweating on the other. We had to cut and just like wipe everyone's sweat off between every take. It was pretty rough.
beaches are not, beaches. You never know, and they're always the worst filming. Every day you film at a beach, it's like it's always the
Yeah,
worst.
like a new problem. I was kind of flabbergasted with the audio on the beach. It was like probably the most crisp audio we had in the whole movie. And I'm like, how did
Wow.
this happen? The gusts were so powerful that day. I mean, you watch the video and their hair's flying, but the audio is like as if I ADR'd it. And I'm like, nope, that's just
Yeah.
me.
Usually you have to. I always tell in my school, like kids film at the beach. Sometimes they go, "You have to ADR the audio because it's gonna suck." You know,
Yeah,
I always tell them that. Like, we don't want to do that. I'm like, and then they come back and you hear, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's an art I wish I knew more of, like the ADR. It's when I do it, it's just me in my
it's
apartment, like hoping and looping something over and over again and hoping that they get it, and
it's
that's
hard.
I feel like it's an art. Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. I've been working more, and I always hated green screen, and I've been working more green screen with my students, trying to perfect it.
yeah.
So working that and ADR, I'm like just ADR, ADR, and it isn't great, but it's a high school film, so it doesn't really matter. But you got to learn it.
Right,
I'm
right.
learning. I'm learning as I go because I don't really know it that well. But
Yeah, I mean, but green screen I think is a great skill. We use a little green screen in this movie too for the newscasters and stuff. But
never
when I
works
when I
right
do,
for me though. It never worked right. It's always like off a little bit, and it always drove me nuts. But I'm trying. I'm trying. You know.
honestly, it's up to like the gaffer. I mean, I've done when I do my puppets, I do my own green screen. I light
Yeah.
it myself. I do an okay job, but in this, like Dave Burdett, the photographer, when he lit the same lights and green screen that I own that I use all the time, when he did it, it was pristine. Like there
Oh,
was no tweaking. I just like propped it out. When I do it, I'm like trying to figure out what all those little gadgets and levers mean to try to like get it clean.
get
So
the
I
right
think I think it comes yeah.
I can never do it right. Then it's off. I throw it off. I'm like, I gotta get back, and it's all off already. Like I can
Yeah.
never get it right. But I got this little green screen now. I left it in my school, but I was going to use it for this, like bring it up, and I have the bright side thing behind me. It's a oneer. It's a oneer. And it's real nice and flat. And this StreamYard works well with green screen. It's crazy.
Oh, that's great.
So I mean, just for this kind of stuff, but it's funny how that works. You could put like just a green sheet behind here, and it looks really good. So I'm like, if that could do that here on this thing, I don't know,
Yeah.
something new. I always try to challenge with something new. So that's something I want to try better and better at. But yeah, I mean, you can't even tell. The best is when you can't even tell it's green screen from your film and all that.
Yeah, I love that. And I would love to get better at that and get better as working with special effects makeup too. I always think that's a really cool element. One of my
Should you
films
be
has
working with that now with the horror with special effects?
yeah, yeah, hopefully, yeah, way more. I mean, ideally more blood and stuff, but also
Yeah.
just like bruises and things like that. I one of the films I had that screened at Brightside was all like monsters, so that was like the one time I was able to use special effects. And it was crazy because we only had like 2 days worth of like the makeup artists and stuff. So it was just organizing like, okay, we're gonna film, this zombie while the werewolves are getting their makeup done because that's gonna take 3 hours. So we'll come back from the zombie and they'll be out of makeup and you know what I mean? And you're scheduling all that stuff. Obviously with more time it would be fun. But I would love to play with that, like practical effects and all that would be great.
I would. I don't know how to do any of that, but that was like something I was like, man, if I had to do it all over again, I would do that stuff. Like I used to watch the show Face Off on TV,
Hmm.
where they would go in competition on the Sci-Fi Channel and do all special effects.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
I watched it all the time. I got sucked in. I'm like, and Tom Savini was on it sometimes, or they had other ones that were, and I got sucked in. I loved it, and then they canceled it. But I've been to a few events, and there was always someone there from that show. And I could run up to him and be like, "Oh, you're on Face Off! Oh my god!" and they work in the industry, so they're like there for a film that they did, and I'm like, it's funny. They're like, that's weird that I just come running up to them like that. I'm like, no, I watched it, I loved it. I wish I could do it. I don't have that talent.
Yeah, like the way they think in terms of like prosthetics and stuff. Like I never think about that. Like, oh, well, we can just order like this, not even like a full nose, just like this part of the nose or whatever. And they know like how to order it and then put makeup on that, which creates a whole different effect. And it's really cool. And I love that it's so specialized because like I know I couldn't do that. I don't even know I could wrap my head around what to what the process of that is, right? So I love just being able to call someone and be like, all right, just give me it straight. How long is this going to take to do? Worst case scenario. Like I just need to budget the time. Right, right. Like, okay, and if it's going to take too long, then I'm going to need to like rework the script or rework the shot list or something. But it's good that I don't have to sit there and actually think about what do I order, what color is
Yeah.
it, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's one of my dreams to do kind of like that too, or is bring one of those face off people on and be like, here, you do it, you know, it's like a crazy horror movie. So, but I've been myself just working on student films, so I got to get out there and work on regular films now. So I was just waiting for this all to all end, but you know, I'm excited that we have Brightside back again, and it's in 2 weeks. It's crazy. So I got a lot to do. So I was like, I have to do some interviews. I got to get it in. So that's why today I'm doing this, and tomorrow, and then see what happens. So
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see other people's films too. Like that's always that's the part of the festival experience that I miss, have missed over the past couple of years, right? It's just not being able to go somewhere and just see what other people are working on and what they've been able to pull off with the same limitations that the rest of us have, and the type of stories they're telling. And I definitely missed that.
the last time we did it in the summer, we had a lot of these movies.
Yeah, yeah,
Not this time, that's good. But there's still a lot of like two people movies, you know, like two people
yeah,
talking kind of thing, which is all right, but you know, great for shorts. You just
yeah.
imagine like people in a feature film that's like Dinner with Andre kind of thing, you know.
I know. I
Mm.
always I always worry with my own stuff that I do that because doing mockumentaries, it is a lot of talking heads, and you can use mockumentary style as a crutch almost in that capacity, where it's like, all right, well, I'm doing too much with these talking heads, but it works, and I challenge, like, especially filming this one, I had to challenge myself in terms of, all right, what are the different locations? Like we squeezed a lot of locations in the short amount of time. We only filmed
Wow.
this in like 5 days or something, but I was like, all right, we need to go to like the woods, and we need to go to the beach, and we need to go to someone's house, and we need to go to a secondary house, and we need to go to like, a garage and a warehouse, and just to give it that change. And then editing, which is like, and this is very much, I think, kind of just my particular style of editing, but it's lots of fast cuts. I mean,
Yeah,
filming,
it moves fast. It moves like it's a longer film, but it moves. You know.
yeah, that's something that I noticed too in watching it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, cool! Like, how long was that? 12 minutes?" I'm like, "No, 31 minutes." Like,
Yeah.
that thing just flew. But it's because I mean, there's probably over 1,000 cuts in that 30 minutes. It is
Yeah.
just, it goes. And the acting is strong enough where I can pull that off. Where they don't need to let something drag and linger to get the point across. They can they can deliver it with the right intention, where you get the joke, and you can move on.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're excited to have you guys have you back again and see filmmakers. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe we can maybe this stuff will end and we have more films going on this summer.
I hope so. I think that will happen. I wouldn't be surprised if people, network at this event and walk away with projects. Like I would love to network with other actors, and
Yeah.
their
Of all the fests that I've worked with or done, this one seems to bring more people together because
yeah,
it's the bar scenario. You're having eating and drinking, and it seems like everyone comes back working together somehow. And
yeah,
of all the fests, this is the one that does that the most, and that's why we like doing it. You know?
yeah, because you're there all day together, really. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be, a lot of people are there from 11 a.m. to 8, 9 p.m. whatever, and you're having like lunch and maybe dinner there with the same people, and then you're in these rooms and watching all the same films with the same group of people. So it creates a nice atmosphere, as opposed to something where you're kind of picking your own path, and you can go like one day here, one day there. But this is cool because it's almost like being at some summer camp to some degree, right? Where like you just connect with everyone. You're like, oh, I saw you in that movie. Like, tell me about that. Like, you're seeing them on screen before you see them in person, but then you get to spend the rest of the day with them. So it's kind of a fun. It's a really fun atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, glad to have you back, and hopefully we'll see you there with some cast and crew. And
Yeah, we'll definitely be there.
awesome.
Cool. All
See you
right.
in a few weeks.
Thanks for having me.